Hello. I had a towel somewhere. What's up? Happy Monday. Aw. Well, thank you. I'm so glad you're able to be here. We're just having my lunch. Aw. I love you. That is really sweet. Thank you. I got my sandwich, my chips. So, do I have any Real Housewives fans watching right now? On any of these? So, if you're new here, on Mondays I go live on like not every social media, but like a lot of different social media. And we have like this like I don't know program where it easily connects us, but it's not working. So I'm literally looking at like 3 different devices right now. No Housewife fans? I'm disappointed. That's literally what I was doing before I came on. I was trying to watch. I was trying to like consume as much Housewives as I could. No? It is so good. Well, how are y'all this week? It's Monday. If you are American, or not even every American celebrates, but Thanksgiving is next week. So it's like a week of, it's a couple of weeks of like a lot for a lot of people. Does watching Desperate Housewives count? I think it can. I have not watched as much of that show as I have consumed the Real Housewives shows, but in my defense, I was literally raised on like reality TV. So I grew up with watching The Real World, and I was obsessed with The Real World. I was obsessed. I wanted to be on The Real World. Like that was my plan. I was going to be a therapist, or I was going to be a reality TV star. Here I am, being a therapist. It's not creepy. I produce this content to be helpful for people, to make like legit eating disorder recovery information accessible to people. So please save the videos. I hope that they are helpful. So I'm so glad that that you find them helpful. Thanksgiving is kind of triggering. Good coping ahead of time. I think that's why it's smart to be thinking about and talking about Thanksgiving. I know with my clients, we're talking about it, as we get ready for next week, so we can have a plan. It's not a fun day for a lot of people, and that's okay. So it's okay if we just treat it like a normal day. But it can also feel like a lot for people. So I've got some questions here on Instagram. What's on my sandwich? It is basic. It is ham and Swiss and mayo. Is there question? Is there really a guy in Texas that wants to separate Texas from the rest of the states? Probably. Man, Texas is an interesting state. For anybody new here, I'm from Texas. I live in Texas. It's where I practice. It's where my business is. And Texas is interesting because there is okay, so we were our own country before we were a part of the United States of America, but y'all, like, that was for, like, I'm not kidding you, like, weeks. It wasn't even, like, a significant amount of time, but because we had, like, a president and our own government and all of that, like, anyway, there are some things about Texas can succeed and all this from the 50 states and become our own country again. And sometimes I think when Texans get frustrated with things, they're like, we could just, succeed from the union and become our own state or our own country. And it's like, okay, whatever. Like, good luck with that. I know there are I know I've even said that at times, just being frustrated with things, but I don't think it's that easy, nor do I think it's like that. I like being an American, and I like being a Texan, so I would like to try to keep it that way. You know what I mean? You love Swiss. I love Swiss cheese. It's so good. You were raised in Texas, so you get how, like, we're kind of, like, proud about the fact that we can become our own independent country at any time again. But again, I just don't think it's that easy as us being like, we quit. Like, I think and I'm sure there would be, like, a lot to it. So... Elizabeth Grace 10, getting married on Friday. Congratulations. That is so amazing. And then you're right, Thanksgiving. So, girl, you are busy. I'm sorry I called you girl. I just gendered you. I'm she, her. Anyway, I'm proud of you. That's amazing. That's a lot going on for you. A lot of exciting things. Certainly it's okay to be excited. I have clients that are looking forward to Thanksgiving. I work with a lot of college students or grad students, and like, they're looking forward to, like, the break and being able to go home to their parents' house or go visit family. So it's okay if there's a lot to, like, look forward to and be excited about, especially after last year in the pandemic. Many of us weren't able to get together for the holidays. So, some of us might be looking forward to next week and the day, but I also know it's also a really triggering day. It can be a hard day. But if we've all learned anything, I think we've learned that we're all just doing the best that we can. And so do the best that we can to get through the day. Hello. We do ham and cream cheese. I think you just blew my mind with the cream cheese and the ham. Like, I don't know why I never thought of that. I just learned this trick. My partner, he said that you make grilled cheese sandwiches with mayo. Never knew that until, like, I'm not kidding, just a few months ago. So I'm gifting that to you. But I'm learning things about food still. You think I made a good choice being a therapist? Or not? You don't think I'd be a good reality TV star? I'm not offended. I don't think that being a reality TV star is easy or fun at all. However, when you're, 15, 16 in a small town in Texas watching reality, what was it? Oh my gosh, The Real Life. Like, oh my God, it was the dream. The dream. Elizabeth Grace 10, you are getting a congratulations on Instagram for your wedding. Finally have days where your eating disorder doesn't talk to you. You never thought it would be possible. It is possible. And I think that's mental health recovery, right? In general, if I can kind of put this, like, in a big nutshell, that when you have a mental health condition, it is a brain disease, right? But it affects your feelings, and it affects how you, like, talk to yourself and how you even feel about yourself. So I think that, like, the work in recovery, eating disorder recovery, or any kind of mental health recovery, is the work of kind of, like, unprogramming a lot of that and understanding how you talk to yourself and what you say to yourself, and trying to not get like emotionally attached um to that, and that will help you. It's okay to feel, right? Like all of your feelings are fine. And so recovery from an eating disorder is learning how do you like take care of yourself and show up for yourself and manage your feelings without turning to food or disordered eating behaviors. I do work with kids. Well, okay, so quick story about that. Maybe not so quick, 'cause I'm never quick. Currently at my practice, I am not set up to see young kiddos. I worked for many, many, many years as a play therapist, and I worked with kids as young as 18 months old, and I did that for several years. So I have a lot of it. In fact, I think like maybe not this point, earlier in my career, like a decade or so of my career was dedicated to just working with young children. Now we just don't have like the play items, like a playroom with all the toys and things to keep a young child engaged through the therapy process. But we see kids as young as 11. I have seen 10 and 9-year-olds at my current practice. It kind of just depends on like the kid and where they're at developmentally. I do get to help more people as a therapist. You're right. A reality TV star doesn't necessarily do a lot of helping, do they? They just kind of are like, here's my life and watch me. It's a very weird concept that we are so like enthralled with reality TV that it's like such a thing, but it's such a thing. And I get why it's such a thing. It's so entertaining, but it's crazy that it is a thing. Is there a high demand for eating disorder treatment where I'm from? Yes. Very much so. Oh, you've worked the last few Mondays, so glad you're here. Hi. You know, there can be good books and a lot of like, I hate to use this terms like self-help, but reading about other people who have experienced what you've experienced, finding communities, finding like resources, that's a really great way to support yourself through any kind of recovery, I think. Aw, I hope everyone in this live has a good day today. Thank you. Back at ya. So does anybody have big plans next week? I don't. Both of our families are local-ish enough where, you know, to get to somebody's house takes like, 30 minutes. So I don't get to go out of town for the holiday. I'll be here seeing everybody. Have a question. Is going to the gym in recovery wrong? Well, the simple answer is no. No. The more complicated issue is that when you have an eating disorder, an eating disorder likes to kind of take that and make it a disordered behavior and make it about like not listening to your body and more about, like a punishment and earning type of situation. And in that case, that's not healthy. So I think you can exercise while in recovery if you're physically, medically able to. And if you have maybe like some support around it, like is there somebody who's kind of like helping you be accountable to, not working out too much, checking in often enough that you're keeping your intentions for working out, like that they're in this really, honoring your body type of place. But if it goes to, it's just really, it can be sometimes be a slippery slope because the eating disorder wants to make it disordered, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means like body movement is a part of like mental health. It really truly is. And it is a part of also physical health. So how can you do it more intuitively where you're like listening and honoring yourself instead of like doing it because of the like disordered eating part of you. Mm-hmm. You're right. I think it's okay to just be aware that. So, if you don't know my history, I was a fitness professional for a long time and also was really like very disordered. And then at some point it tipped over into orthorexia. And it was a lot of like exercise addiction too for me. I was worried when I took a break for a really long time from the gym just because I think I needed to mentally and physically. And then when I started trying to get back to it and making it part of kind of like my life routine, if you will, I was nervous that it was going to trigger old things. And I was nervous that, like some of the things would kind of get back to like that competitive part of me or that perfectionistic part of me. So I check my intentions often. I really check in and try to, I keep it short. I keep it fun. I keep it engaging, and I change it honestly day to day. And that's how I try to just approach it with myself is I make space to have that time and that make it a priority. And then during that time, I evaluate, what does my body need or what does my body want? What's going to help me kind of in this moment? And then I'll pick my body movement based on, what kind of energy or vibe I'm needing. And sometimes it's like taking a bath or lying and doing restorative yoga. Sometimes it's high intensity type stuff. So it really is different, but it's you have to check in all the time. And then if it's like, I've been, I am feeling kind of sore, even though I want like a high intensity type thing. Okay, well, what does that look like? How do I pull back? How do I listen to my body? How do I like not do that thing? How do I not do that high intensity thing now and save it for later, perhaps? Mm-hmm. Just right. Even just like walking, right? To something like mundane like that, like right, if you're doing that kind of like the same walk, like you said, to the bus stop every day, that can there that can what am I trying to say? That can kind of like trigger you wanting to do some disordered things. I think because it gets so like routine and you get kind of so used to it. So I don't know, sometimes our brain likes to trick us and make things interesting when we don't need to make things more interesting. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's knowing those things that trigger you when you're working out, or knowing those things that trigger you, like when you're going out to eat. And sometimes it's okay to avoid your trigger. Like if you are really disordered with like, I don't know, no, because I don't even, I was gonna say, I was gonna give an example of like, if you're really disordered with running, but I think that you can have a history of disordered running and then return to a healthy relationship with running. So, it's just, I think sometimes it's okay to avoid our triggers. Sometimes there are like people in your life, there are situations in your life, and it's very easy to be like, nope, I'm not crossing that line. I'm not going to engage with them. I'm not going there. Okay. You don't have to like work yourself through that trigger. You just set that boundary and you can move on. Other triggers, like if there are people that you really love and care about, if it is something that you do and you go work out with a friend or you eat with a person a lot, sometimes we have to like have conversations or set some boundaries or discussions around, how can I keep doing this thing with you so that it's safe for me? Yeah, you can just tell them, please, hey, that triggers me. Can you please not say that? And if they're, especially if it's a person that like loves you, it's hard when it's just some rando, like you could certainly say, hey, don't say that, jerk. But you may not ever see that person again. If there's a person in your life that you see and have conversations with, they want to support you, they want to show up for you, but we have to tell them what that looks like, because sometimes they don't know. Man, y'all have some good questions and comments today. So back to a comment here on Instagram about working out. You feel better when you do? Yes, because working out does create like brain chemicals that feel good. So it does feel good when you work out. And there's nothing wrong with feeling better when you work out and feeling like better about yourself when you work out. There's just like no value or worth in that, or there's no like shame in that, and there's like nothing that you have to do or should do when you work out. It's just like, are you showing up for yourself? Are you doing this because it's fun? Are you doing it because it feels good? Then okay, you're allowed to feel good. You're allowed to have fun. You're allowed to enjoy moving your body. But if it's at any point when it's not that anymore, that's when, and you're doing it and you're pushing it and you're forcing it, I think that's when it's gone too far. And that's when it's become disordered. Like, you don't have to do that. Your parents don't know your parents don't know why you're going to therapy. You think you should tell them. You can. I certainly have clients who don't tell their parents why they're in therapy. It really depends. Like, if you have these parents that want to learn and love you and support you, and they might be open to learning and hearing about what's going on. But I do recognize there are parents who have their own issues and can't support us in the way that we want them to. And so sometimes it's okay that you don't tell them why you're in therapy. Like, sometimes that's safe information to keep from them. Mm-hmm. Right. And you're allowed to be calm. Especially if a workout is going to help. Like, here's the thing, y'all. You're allowed to take care of yourself, and you're allowed to want to do things to make you feel better. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So do whatever that is. And also know that if it is hurting you, if it's something you don't want to do, if it's ever uncomfortable, you don't have to do shit that you don't want to do. Like, we're allowed to do what we want to do. That's it. Like, you were in treatment for a year and your mom didn't know. That happens. We would want the family to know. And I'm sure, your treatment team talked about that with you. But sometimes it's not okay. Take no harm. No, do no harm, but take no bullshit. I like that. Take care of yourself, but don't tolerate bullshit, and don't hurt yourself. Like, take care of yourself. And if you're forcing exercise, if you're exercising to burn calories, if you're exercising to lose weight, if you're exercising to look a certain way, you're going to feel really miserable. And that's not any fun. So find a fun way to move your body. You don't want to tell because you don't want them to feel like they're walking on eggshells. Yeah. But that may not be a bad thing. Maybe they're just trying to say the right thing and do the right thing because they care. And they're trying to be really careful and really cautious. And so they're going to need a lot of education and a lot of help and support. That's okay. They don't know about this issue. Right. You're so helpful in your recovery. Well, thank you. I'm so glad you're here, Fred ZZ. Thank you for joining us. You have a hard time accepting you have an eating disorder because guess what? That's a common symptom. Like that is a symptom of having an eating disorder. It has a really long, complicated name. If you go to my Instagram page, there's a post about it. But it really is a symptom where you just feel like not sick enough. It's kind of like this brain phenomena where you like deny and you have a hard time seeing how sick you really are. So if you're saying that tells me a lot, honestly. Parents need a lot of help with this, y'all. Diet culture and like food and body messages run deep. And parents say shit even though they've heard, that you're in recovery and they're trying to support you, but people still say and do dumb shit. I just think because they don't know, and just because, again, these messages run so deep. So parents have to do a lot of work to unlearn diet culture too. And to the point on TikTok here, sometimes we do have to get our treatment providers on the phone or in the room with our family to let them know, hey, here's the situation, here's what's going on. So if you've engaged in behaviors once a week or a month, you should get help. Yes. There's a lot, y'all. It's your disease. So like, as much as I can sit here and talk about eating disorder recovery, and as much as I try to teach about eating disorder recovery, keep in mind that you're an individual. You are individually you, going through what you go through every single day, what you've gone through in your life. No one else is going to live that experience. And so you have to also deal with your daily life and the people in your life and your life situations. And so all of that needs to be considered when how you're showing up and taking care of yourself. That's why these things aren't as easy as just like, doing A, B, C, D, F, G. You have a lot in your life and a lot of people. Not weighing yourself. 2 years scale-free in January. Hell yes. Congratulations. Here's a high five. That's awesome. And parents can be not helpful. I get that. So that's okay. If you have supportive parents who are willing to work and do some learning, it's okay to tell them and have conversations with them. There are times when we have to have serious boundaries with people like our moms and can't eat with them or have conversations with them about food because it's so disordered. our parents have eating disorders or disordered eating. Again, this stuff runs deep, 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 y'all. A lot of my clients, when they look at, their eating disorder, they can make connections to, their parents' disordered eating or eating disorder. So, and if the parent hasn't done the work, they are going to say things that trigger you and hurt you. Here's the thing about the eating disorder voice. It's always going to lie to you. So if you can say the eating disorder voice is telling me, it's a lie. And you don't have to listen to it. It's not true. Sorry, y'all. I have to. I have saved you from relapse so many times. Well, thank you. Excuse me. And I'm so glad that you're here. Yep, family members can have eating disorders and it's a trigger, right? So it's okay to have a plan to keep yourself safe. Okay, so I have a question here about like eating more meals, and typically the advice is eating every so often. I say it's about learning to listen to your body and yourself, and knowing that your body needs a lot more energy than you think that it does. And it's okay to like work yourself up to it, right? So that's why we have people who work with dietitians or work with therapists and a dietitian at the same time, because you have to sometimes like add in. It's not easy to go from restriction to then eating the recommended meals. So it's okay to work up to it so that you feel safe. Your question here is, what happens if I'm feeling unsafe? Safety is the number one thing. You have to feel safe. So set up things, make a plan, work through that. What's going to help you feel more safe? And then to practice doing that thing so that you feel safe doing that thing, to allow you to go on and eat more, right? So it's like building. It's a gradual sort of like exposure, gradual like build up to doing the thing that feels really hard for you. You are not alone. And that's why I think recovery feels so hard for people, because there's still all this food advice out there, right? Of like how often and how many meals a day you should be eating. And that's why with like intuitive eating, I try to not give the advice of here's how many meals, but really, honestly, truly, y'all, our body needs a lot. It needs a lot throughout the day, even just like a normal, not extra energy day. And then if you do anything out of the extra, that's just more energy. And what is energy? Calories. It's food, right? So it really is a process to learn how to eat. And in an intuitive eating doesn't mean that you eat the same way every day, right? Intuitive eating is every single day, me being able to check in and tune in. How do I feel? What do I need? What's going on? What's available to me? What do I have access to? What do I feel like doing? Like, it's a lot. And I know that can sound overwhelming for y'all in recovery, because it's like, oh my God, it's so much to think about. But it doesn't feel as daunting when it is an intuitive process. I am live every Monday. Yes. And knowing what hunger looks like for you can be a helpful place to start too. And it doesn't just mean that my stomach is like growling. That's certainly an easy hunger cue, but there are lots of other things that can tell you, hey, you need to eat. There's other things, like I know for me, my vision will get really like hazy during when it's like, okay, I got to get a snack after this session. That's kind of, or my brain will start to like not be so clear. So that's how I know I'm starting to get mentally kind of tired. So I'm going to need to get some food in me soon. You always look forward to watching my stream during your lunch break. Well, thank you. You had a burger and chips at work last week? Hell yeah, high five. If I'm cranky, that's usually a cue that I need to eat. Right. And that's a good point. You don't have to finish your plate. I love this saying in intuitive eating. When you're eating intuitively, you have permission to eat everything that's on the table, but you don't have to eat everything that's on the table. It's kind of this idea of like, yeah, it's all fine and it's okay, and I can eat when I want and when I'm hungry and when I want to. And I know when I'm full, I know when I'm satisfied, I know when it's enough, and I can go on because I know I'll be able to come back and eat when I'm hungry again later. You're going to make your favorite breakfast because of you. Yay! Good for you. What is that? Bagel used to be a trigger and now you're eating it. Oh, I love bagels. Caitlin, you're right. When we do have mental health, when we are depressed, anxious, grieving, stressed out, our appetites do change a lot, and they can be impacted by that. And so again, intuitive eating is about being able to check in and recognize, you know what, I probably need to eat something right now. And here's how I'm feeling mentally. Here's how I'm feeling emotionally. So the best I can do right now is this, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be this like amazingly perfect meal, right? It doesn't have to have like, it's just whatever you can eat and grab, because that's okay. Oatmeal with peanut butter. I had that with some other things in my oatmeal, but I did have peanut butter in my oatmeal this morning as well. That's a good one. My friends, I'm looking at the time and how I'm never able to eat my full lunch because I get to talking and I need to finish my lunch. So, I will be here on Monday. Okay. So if y'all are around, adulting sucks. There's a lot of conversation. It's hard. If you feel like shit, preparing and thinking about a meal is the hardest thing to do. I might have to do a course on that or talk about that because that's something that you've inspired something. If you want to connect with me, you can of course follow me here on social media, Instagram, Facebook, also recovery-academy.com. I have a lot of eating disorder recovery courses for you where I give you these tools and these tips and these tricks with like worksheets or journal activities or, things for you to do at home to help you when you're managing these triggers or you're managing these things as y'all are getting ready for the holiday next week and, Christmas and New Year. There's a lot of support there at the Recovery Academy. And the best part is it's accessible. We keep the cost as low as we can to make it more doable for people. So y'all are so amazing. I'm so glad you were all here with me. See you on Monday. Bye.